Welcome to another video on the music business series. I'm super excited and super pumped to share this particular topic with every independent musician out there who's struggling to understand how the music business runs. What are your options? You're going to find more than enough resource to play around with on this playlist. So let's do this. Yeah, so today we're going to be talking about music publishing. I'm sure you're already wondering what music publishing is all about. Well, music publishing is how you really make bank as a musician, songwriter, or music producer. So let's go on and look into it. This video series is inspired by a desire to share some knowledge about the business side of music, which most times as musical artists we do not pay attention to because we just want to make music. Just that it's also important, as we're passionate about creating the music, we should also be passionate about the business side of the music. Music publishing, without a doubt, stands out as one of the most intricate aspects of the music industry. Even seasoned music experts can find themselves grappling with the intricacies and nuances of publishing. Nevertheless, there is no cause for alarm. In this video, we'll break down what publishing is all about for you. So let's begin with the fundamentals. What is music publishing? Music publishing is simply the business of promoting and monetizing musical compositions. The music publisher ensures that the songwriters earn royalties for their work while simultaneously working to create chances for those works to be performed and reproduced. The publishers are responsible for representing composers, songwriters, lyricists, and the authors of musical works. The publishers ensure that these people get compensated for the commercial use of their intellectual property. Stay with me, but before we go further, I want us to do a little housekeeping. Turn on the post notification, hit the subscribe button, and smash the like button as well, so that you'll be the first to know when a video like this drops. And if you're getting value from this video, let me know in the comment section. If there's any topic you're not clear about, you could also drop it in the comment section. Let's talk about it and educate ourselves as independent musicians. Let's go. To understand music publishing, you need to first of all understand music copyrights. One of the words you will hear thrown around frequently when it comes to music publishing is copyrights. Copyright simply means the person who owns the rights to an intellectual property. So for example, you are a singer, you are the songwriter and also the music producer. You own the rights to that composition and recording. So if you're the one who the idea originates from, then you own the rights. So rights could be owned originally, or you could acquire the rights by paying for it. Music copyrights are split into two distinct parts. We have the master recording and the music composition. Now, the composition is a piece of music that includes the music, harmony, the melody, etc., etc. It may or may not include the accompanying lyrics. Consider, for instance, sheet music and writing in a notebook. These are all pieces of composition. While the sound recording, otherwise known as the masters, is a particular expression of the underlying composition produced and recorded by the recording artist. Think of the music you stream on Spotify or Apple Music. These are examples of the master recording. So accordingly, the composition rights and the master recording rights always come with every song. And in the most basic scenario, these two rights belong to the same person. That is, if you are the writer and also the producer of the recorded song. If you produced and wrote the song all together, you own both rights to that property. However, that's not always the case. Now think of a situation where you cover a song. For instance, you decide to record a Michael Jackson cover or an Adele cover or a Jay-Z cover, right? The composition rights will still belong to whoever owns the catalog of the artist you're covering their music. You only get to own the master recording rights. These rights could also get more complicated. For example, imagine a song featuring 12 songwriters, 2 lyricists, a handful of samples, and probably a resung line from Michael Jackson's Smooth Criminal song, right? The structure of that kind of music or property can get incredibly complex, So copyrights get complex as it goes. Now that leads us into the 3 types of music publishing royalties that you need to know. Although music publishing can vary from country to country, but here are the 3 music publishing royalties you need to know as an indie musician so that you don't end up leaving money on the table. 1, mechanical royalties. 2, public performance royalties. And 3, synchronization license fees. Now, let's go into each of these 3 royalty types in detail. Let's look at mechanical royalties, for instance. These are royalties earned through the reproduction of copyrighted work in digital and physical formats. So, songwriters are paid mechanical royalties per song sold, downloaded, and streamed through on-demand streaming service. Generally speaking, mechanical royalties are generated when your song is reproduced in any way from physical CDs, LPs, and cassettes to digital downloads. Then we have public performance royalties. These type of royalties compensate composition owners for the performance or display of their musical works publicly. Now, the performance royalties are a bit easier to grasp. So every time a composition is publicly performed, the rights owners get paid. Whether it's a radio broadcast, a background playlist at a restaurant, or a digital stream, if you're streaming a song into your headphones, that's considered a public performance too. So says the law. So we have several PROs. So these PRO guys, they are responsible for collecting all your monies wherever they might be anywhere in the world. So they are responsible for collecting these royalties. The biggest 3 performing rights organizations are ASCAP, BMI, and CISAC. So as an indie musician, you should either be signed or registered with ASCAP or BMI. Personally, I'm registered with BMI. You decide which one suits your needs and just go ahead, go on their website and check out all what they have to offer and just go on with anyone. Anyone is good. There is no one better than the other. Anyone will do the job. And so don't forget to hit the subscribe button, turn on the post notification, and be the first to know when a video like this drops. So the last type of publishing cash flow is the synchronization license fee. And this is linked to the last part of the copyright, that is the composition, right? It involves creating a derivative work based on the composition. In essence, every time someone wants to use the composition as a part of any other type of content, whether it's a TV show, whether it's a video game, whether it's a movie, an ad, or a radio show, they need to get permissions from the copyright owners. That process is generally known as sync licensing. And sync licensing is the most lucrative way musicians make bank. Songwriters make bank. Music producers make bank. Sync licensing is the most lucrative form of income generation for a musician. So if I were you, I'll chase after sync licensing. There are 3 types of music publishing deals. Usually, the type of publishing deals is determined by the nature of work the publisher will do on the author's behalf. There are a few common publishing scenarios that became industry standards throughout the year. So let's look at them one by one. The first one is the full publishing deal. The full publishing deal used to be the standard of the industry back in the day. In this case, the songwriter assigns 100% of their rights to the publisher. This deal covers all the material songwriters will write or create during the duration of the contract, usually with some kind of contractual obligation for a minimum number of songs written. Now, for all the compositions written, the songwriter will assign a lifetime copyright to the publisher, and the publisher will own his own share forever. In exchange, the publisher will provide full circle service to the songwriters, proactively promoting the published material and pitching the songwriter across the industry. In addition, the publisher will put forward an advance recouped by the songwriter's share until made whole. If you're finding value in this video, hit the subscribe button, turn on the post notification, and click on the like button. Also drop a comment. Now let's continue and look at the revenue split under the publishing deal. As it usually is in the music industry, the share of the revenue assigned to the company is a function of the total investment into the artist's career and the risks taken on by the partner. So, accordingly, full publishing deals are more common if the publisher signs with a yet unknown songwriter, implying that the company will dedicate a lot of resources into developing the artist's career, while the songwriter doesn't have a sufficient track record. Risky investment, more return for the publisher. So that's the essence of this deal. I would advise you never Always look into the details like this and never take a deal like this. The second type of publishing deal is the co-publishing deal. This is the most common type of contract in the publishing industry nowadays. Under the co-publishing deal, the songwriter's micro company and publishing company put the composition out together and splitting up the publisher's share by 50-50. So the songwriter ends up getting 75% of the royalties. That is the writer's 50% and half of the publishing share, or the other 25% of the overall copyright owned by the songwriter's micro company. Now let's look at the revenue split under the co-publishing deal. For the co-publishing deal, these deals are commonplace for mid-level songwriters that are still in need of the promotional support from the publisher, but have enough negotiating power to skew the deal in their favor compared to the full publishing agreement. The co-publishing deals have some duration of rights to them, meaning that eventually the songwriter will get the entirety of their rights back. It might take a while though. The duration of the rights is set up on a case-by-case basis, ranging from 2 years to 20 years and more. Otherwise, the co-publishing deals are a lot like traditional full publishing. Now, publishers will provide an advance. They'll provide a songwriter an advance, recouped by the songwriter's share until made whole, and actively work the writer's career, pitching the compositions, maximizing sync opportunities, financing the recording of demo materials, setting the songwriter up to write for prominent recording artists, and so forth. The songwriters, in turn, will commit to the minimum number of songs deliverable under the contract duration. So, for both co-publishing and full publishing deals, the sync fees splits will be defined on a case-by-case basis. Essentially, the publisher will maximize and collect all the sync revenues and distribute accordingly to whatever the individual deal is. Once again, it will come down to the negotiating power of the songwriter. The last of the deal, the administration deal, which is the sweet part of the deals. Now, in the case of administration deals, these are a whole breed of publishing services. Essentially, under the admin deals, the publisher has only one role, and that is collecting and auditing the royalties on behalf of the artist. In that case, the songwriter keeps full control of the copyright, paying the publisher 10 to 25% of the publisher's share in the form of an administrative fee. Accordingly, the publisher earns a percentage of the revenue only while the deal is still in place, without any sort of duration of rights. For that reason, the admin deals are usually longer than the co-publishing ones, stretching up to about 5 years. This is a much better deal than the co-publishing and the full publishing deals. Now, the revenue split under the publishing administration deals. In this case, where we already established that administration deals are commonplace for well-established songwriters and recording artists writing their own compositions. For example, songwriters like Jake Gosling and Max Martin did not need the publisher to promote their composition and get them in touch with performing artists. They are already big enough to get all the representation they need from their publishing. Already not so small micro companies. So they do, however, need someone to register their work with all the CMOs around the globe, audit and claim their royalties, look over and renew countless sync, and so on. So, the AAA songwriters usually go for administrative deals because this allows them keep full control over their music while maximizing the incoming royalties. The same generally goes for the artists that write music for themselves, focusing entirely on the recording side of the business. If the only person you're writing for is yourself and plan for it to stay that way, there is no point in getting a full-blown publishing representation. That is precisely why most of the distribution or distros like TuneCore and City Baby offer publishing administration deals in addition to distributing your music on platforms like Spotify, Apple Music, and so on. So if you found this video very, very enlightening and valuable, hit the subscribe button, turn on the post notification so that you'll be the first to know when I put out videos like this. Kindly go now, smash the like button. And you can also go ahead and watch the previous video on income ideas for musicians or musical artists somewhere on the screen. Look forward, you can find it somewhere around. And get some education and focus on making good music while you take care of the business. So see you in the next video. Bye bye.